so that we can start the show since it's 7:07. Those of you who are in, welcome to another Sunday evening um, with both, I guess, Devon and the John Lind Show. John.
Oh, the Devon Show. I'm just a guest.
Well, you've been such a wonderful breath of fresh air in the space, primarily because you're active in this local market, right? So for all of you guys who are out there listening and wanting to get involved in real estate, I've found John's activity in the space to be really and extremely valuable. Some of you in this meetup club have made arrangements to meet him and talk to him about his strategies and his ideas and everything else along those lines. And those ideas are great, but there again, it's our intention for the clubs, for all of us to grow in the space of whether it's investing, whether it's understanding the deals itself. And we simply want to be a group that collaborates with others in the space so that we can potentially get the best deal possible. Now, yes, my background is I am an investor. Yes, I've created my own portfolio and I call it the all-weather fund, but it includes, from a basic concept, my portfolio ranges from 50% real estate, 30% other businesses, and 20% in the passive space. I know that don't mean a bag of beans, but what it does mean is that our 50% portfolio is dissected into commercial, residential, hotels, living assisted facilities, and syndication. So that's how I dissected my 50% real estate portfolio, and the 30% would be the infrastructure of businesses that I have in order to support the entire portfolio, right? So that means if whatever I need, almost like how a family office is ran, I've structured my system to help me in that regards. So if I need an accountant, I have it within my accounting business. If I need an SEC attorney through the businesses that I acquire, I have one. If I need a specific lawyer for understanding what it takes in order to structure my passive investments and my active investments for the best tax possible outreach, we have it all within the space. And then last is the 20% portfolio, which includes everything passive. So that's from the dividend, the ETFs that we invest in, to cash FX, which I checked today. We just doubled our money in 5 months with cash FX, to Forex, which did wonderful this week with the drop of gold, as well as the rebounds of it, and only to drop again, which was really, really something spectacular. And learning all of this took a very, very long time. Not everyone is going to play within this space like that, but we do have an announcement probably at the end of the program that we feel that would assist everybody in getting in the real estate game a little bit more. I'll you know what, screw it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals here. I'm just going to share it with you guys, and everyone else who missed it, we'll charge them a little bit later. A private equity group contacted me over the past week, and they sat with me and they asked me, they said, well, Devon, what is stopping individuals in your group to start to acquire properties? And I told them, I said, well, it's a lot of us in this space. When you come into real estate, this can be terrifying for most. So like everything else, a lot of the individuals in our group are relatively new. So I said, what would alleviate some of those burdens would be, number one, access to capital. You know, that's a high hurdle to climb because you got to bring 20% to the table in a lot of cases. And even though you may start out in a single family residence or a multi, you know, it's an investment property. So you still have a significant down payment. And even though individuals are meeting this down payment needs, their needs by through credit cards and other, say, borrowing from friends and family, you still end up with a liquidity crunch sometimes, right? So I told him, I said, that's a high barrier of entry. In addition to that, for those of you who didn't hear the conversation that John and I had, John said he had a rough week. And his rough week was because looking for properties sometimes can be a little challenging, right? Especially when you know the value that you're expected to negotiate, and it's just not there when it comes to individuals outbidding you at no particular reason, right? So finding deals, finding the right deals was a problem. And the last thing is what I told them. I said, you know, in this space that you play in, you have to partner up with a lot of people sometimes, whether that be strategically or not. But you have to partner up with contractors sometimes in a lot of ways to have additional leverage on your goals. So those were the top three for me. And I said, look, you guys answer those questions as a way to minimize the entrant into real estate, then I'm all ears. Oh, they had an answer for me, right? So the news that I wanted to present to this group this week was that we now have access to private equity money that would give us the acquisition, right? But at the end of the day, I've invested in some software to help us do the searches and the evaluation using artificial intelligence. So as soon as we get that set up, I would be passing that on to this particular group to help in regards to searching, skip tracing, the whole 9 yards. And on top of that, one of the abilities that we recently received through this private equity as well is the ability for them to give us a proof of funds that goes in along with our contracts and our LOI for the bidding process. So, and I found a way to put those contracts together in less than 5 seconds and send it to the owners for their evaluation of the deal itself. So we're going to be experimenting with that as I set those foundational things up so that we as a club can take advantage of those. And I guess as long as I give you a username and password and an app on your phone, it can all be done all through your phone, really. And the system is supposed to track everything. So we'll map out the farm areas. I'm not certain. A lot of you are in the Brevard community. LH Tanner Construction Company has agreed to be our construction company in the process. I spoke to Lawrence and Holly this week. They're engaged in a project that's going to take them 6 months. But after that 6 months process, they will join us in doing acquisitions for ourselves. So we do have some answers for you. We do have some solutions for you. And there again, if you're scared, simply do a partnership with someone in the group, right? Who's moving in that direction. So you can partner with me, you can partner with John. Sure, as we find deals, we now will be able to bring them to the table quite rapidly. And the deals that I'm looking for, similar to John, I'm looking for either out of state owners, properties that don't look the best, but we certainly can do a turnaround on those. And in addition to that, I'm also looking to build from ground up too. So land that we could convert to do building structures on, we can do all of those as well too. And the private equity company has given us the leverage to use their money to do the rehabs at 100% with, and I think it's interest only for the rehab stuff. So we thought that that was interesting as well too. So with their partnership moving forward, we still need to feel them out a little bit more, but once we feel them out to the level of extent that we're comfortable with them, I'm going to present it here again next week so that individuals can take advantage of what that partnership looks like, and also a way of earning revenue through just referring the deal. You refer the deal, we close it, we're making a payment structure. Anything under 100,000, you get $500 for just a referral. Anything above that, you're getting 20% of the fees that we charge internally, and the fees that I'm charging is about 3 points. So you get a nice little check for doing that as well too. And if we can expand this nationwide, which I think we can, this can be a game changer. So with that said, I'm going to open up the floor to anyone else who would like to add. We're trying to keep our conversations down to at least an hour because normally we have a tendency to go to the tune of 2 hours every Sunday. So if we can minimize that so that we can get to the bottom of what it really takes in order to get ahead, you'd realize that the stages of getting ahead is real simple. Number one, how do I become an accredited investor? How do I become, how do I now then leverage the monies that you have access to constantly do more? And yes, I am already an accredited investor with additional access to capital, but now even for myself, how do you scale that? Just from a thought process, right? For those of you who just walked into the room, I just saw Kevon and Whitley. Kevon, you're a little late. That's okay though. Whitney, you too. Nonetheless, what I've announced tonight to the club is that we have an opportunity with a private equity group that would like to support us in terms of leveraging their capital. Not only their capital, but also their artificial intelligence tools in the research game, also in closing deals rather quickly. So with that said, we'll talk a little bit more about it and what that means as far as an income for individuals in this group once the ink dries on our contracts, so to speak. And I'll have a little bit more clarity on what that means. One of the problems that we were talking about in this club was that, and I think John went over it a couple of times in a previous session, how you run out of money in this business and you could only do so many deals because you don't have access to a bigger bank. Well, in solving that major problem, I think we just climbed the hurdle over in order to address that issue. So if we can address that issue, then it doesn't matter where you start out in this industry, as long as you get to the level of learning and then earning in the space to whereby you can just simply partner up with others. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We know Kavan is in Trinidad. Kavan, even though you're in Trinidad, we have others through the Bahamas and Jamaica on this call as well too, in some cases. And with this partnership, I'm thinking that if we do it right, finding deals and closing them quickly should not be an issue, with others also on the search in our softwares looking for a very specific criteria. And with that said, we have the ability to send out offers relatively right away and get on a call with individuals in order to either make that deal happen or not. So once we get a little bit more clarity with that partnership, it simply means, Kavan, even though you're in Trinidad with me, I know you have connections to the Bahamas as well. And so do I. We now can have bird dogs in those areas. And once we close the deal, we send the individuals a check. Now, to pay international individuals from the United States, we use a software called Payoneer, and it's directly linked to our QuickBooks system. It's one of the best that we've found, and we've tried them all, from Western Union all the way to MoneyWise. And we've tried companies in Ireland that did transfers for us. We've tried companies all over, but we found Payoneer to be the best, meaning we can actually pay it right out of our QuickBooks connected to our bank. And as long as you have a bank account and you set up an account with Payoneer, it doesn't matter where in the world you're located, it transfers the money into your account, into your currency. And with Payoneer, you also have the opportunity to have international accounts as well too. But you'll learn that as you go. Payoneer gives you a New York account. It gives you I think it's a European account as well too. And if push come to shove, I think you get a Swiss account with them as well. Plus the account within the country that you reside in. So you can accept monies in different currencies through Payoneer. And it works really, really great with our software. So at this particular time, I'll open up the floor. We have another 35 minutes to go. I'll open up the floor for anyone who wants to discuss anything that they had going on in the world of real estate this week. We know Terry and Tori were supposed to bring a deal this week, but they probably didn't show up. But I'm going to start bringing deals to the table myself on a weekly basis so that we can have an idea of how we do the calculations, what is the valuations that we're looking for, and how do we acquire, all the way up to negotiating the deal. So hopefully next week I'll bring my first deal to the table, and then we can analyze that. So the floor is now open.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kavan.
Okay, I would say good evening, everyone. I apologize again for being late. I just wanted to touch on the payment aspect. For me personally, I have a Bank of America account with a US registered entity that I started way back in 2019. And I also have a Payoneer account. So as it relates to being able to pay me for work being done, I don't see how it's going to be a problem. That's number one.
Beautiful.
I'm very familiar with Payoneer, so I know that individuals who I am introducing to this opportunity, primarily the wholesaling from Trinidad, I would definitely show them the ropes and getting their Payoneer account started.
Yeah, that's great.
Also, what I am immediately looking forward to is that software that you are talking about, because I know that it is going to be the main strategic tool in finding the right properties that matches the criteria that you are setting out for us.
Mhm. Well, the criteria for the property search, the software uses artificial intelligence to help out, and they have like a point of reference of 2,000 touches within most of the databases um, that we look at. And the
To
software,
be able to,
yeah, the software identifies pretty much off-market deals, deals that are not on the MLS systems. So, and that's pretty much a space that we want to play in, looking for deals that we can actually have value in it when we do the acquisition. John made a comment, you make the money on the acquisition. I totally agree. And if we can do it whereby we're constantly in the acquisition space, I think that would be a wonderful thing. So whether I'm doing the acquisition or someone else is doing the acquisition, we certainly have access to the capital now. In addition to that, I talked to about 10 doctor friends of mine, and we've been talking about this thing for a while. So I told them, I said, look, each one of you guys write a check for $10,000. We'll have a slush fund within this group to 100,000. You know, my wife is an investor with me as well. And we have Dr. Christina Jackson right here locally. So we told them that's $20,000 right there. I'm sure she have 5 friends that she can hit up, and my wife have 5 friends that we can hit up, so that we can do acquisitions all day in the space. So as long as we can have a little slush fund in order to do it, that's going to be interesting. So I told them, I said, we wanted to find a way to make certain that people had a way to make money and not get tied up into the logistics of why, how, and when, but it's just a matter of understanding that real estate is a numbers game. The more offers we put out there, the more calls we can entertain in order to negotiate an acquisition. And if it matches our box, then we should have a no-brainer. So we kind of check the boxes to try eliminate whether it's us doing an acquisition or lending money to others. We certainly can make that happen within this club. So I wanted to take action now versus just hearing everybody else out for a week, so that we can be a little proactive in the space. But thank you, Kavon. By all means, Payoneer works extremely well. I think for all the bird dogs that are not in the United States, who don't have access to a Bank of America account like you do, you know, they too in turn can receive their funds in 48 hours, any country through Payoneer, and it'll be in the currency of their nation. So this now eliminates a lot of the fear of individuals getting involved in real estate, or, okay, I don't have the money. All right, we took care of that. Okay, I don't have the experience. Okay, we took care of that too. All right, I don't have a contractor to assist on the deal. Okay, we've taken care of that too. And our contractor was one of the contractors to build my medical clinic about 12 years ago. So what he told me as well, he said, Devon, look, you know, we have a line of credit in our business. And I asked him, I said, well, how big is your line of credit? He said, it's pretty sizable, 6 figures. I said, okay, good. I'm going to need every one of those 6 figures, by the way. And he said, you know, we can use them, because the rehab process, especially in real estate, is that you got to spend the money first in order to reclaim it. So with that said, he'll have to use his line of credit, spend the money, and then we submit it to get reimbursement. However, when you go through the cost analysis and the bidding process, all of that's going to be pre-approved ahead of schedule. So it's not going to be whereby the contractor can buy absorbent prices, because the price list has to be approved before we start the project. Oh, and this thing works in all 50 states, by the way. So we don't have to only look at zip codes in the Brevard County area. We can look at zip codes anywhere.
This is Catherine.
Hey, Catherine, how are you?
Good. As you know, or not, my main focus is really trying to invest in multifamily properties. I want to start with up to a quad.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I'm fairly new to the game.
Mm-hmm.
So my main issue is really, you have to be quick.
Yeah.
Is being able to spot that deal right off the bat. And so I guess my main focus is really trying to learn, and hopefully through this platform, is how to analyze those numbers and being able to make that move very quickly and not letting the opportunity pass me by.
You know, John mentioned something to me the other day. He said, you know, sometimes when you look at the analytics of the deal, individuals get scared because of how the deals get analyzed. You know, I looked at the software this week as well, and I know John have an elaborate spreadsheet, and we'll actually compare and contrast his spreadsheet to the systems analyst version. However, the system that we're getting assist on analyzing the deals for 3 different variations of your acquisition. So if you want a wholesale deal, we can analyze it for that. If you want to fix and flip, we can analyze it for that. If you want to buy and hold, we can analyze it for that too. So technically speaking, you can do 3 different types of analysis with the software, and it spits out the number for you. It actually gives you with your, there's a valuation that the system actually comes up with as well too. So it helps understanding the value of the property as well, the ARVs of the property. Through the title searches, title search can be done in less than 5 seconds now, and understanding the debt stack of the real estate can be done in 5 seconds as well too. So now we know exactly the property is out there. We can evaluate their debt if they have any on there. And we can evaluate if it matches a certain criteria we're looking for, whether it be single, whether it be multi, whether it be a triplex, whether it be a quadruplex, whether it be a condo, whether it be an apartment. We can analyze all of that. So to answer your question, it doesn't matter which zip code you're in. This thing, it's going to be real interesting. You know, I saw it in action, and I was really impressed with it. So I technically can own real estate without leaving my building, without leaving the bathroom. I can actually send offers out. So it's an investment that I thought would be wonderful to make. But I made the investment selfishly, primarily because it actually can accelerate the 50% portfolio within our operations. So our team is going to be surprised when we have our meeting tomorrow that we have this wonderful tool available to us. And obviously we have to set it up, and it's going to take some time to set up. But once we set it up, we're going to offer it to you guys as well too. So Catherine, don't worry about analyzing the deal any longer. You still need to have a basic understanding of what it takes in order to get into a deal, what it takes in order to exit, as well as how much monies that you need to place in the deal, or your partnership, or your syndications, or something of that nature. But you know, when it comes to action, I'm surrounded by people who love to take action. So no, you don't have to fear the deal anymore. And we can analyze it right here on our Sunday show using the very same software once we get it connected. And it shouldn't take us that long to analyze over the country as well too. So even if you see a project that's not in your zip code that we can take advantage of, we very well can do those deals as well too. So I think you're in the right place.
Was it Whitney who had that question?
No, that was Catherine.
Catherine, I'm sorry, you had that question?
Yeah, and I remember during one call, John, I was gonna bring a deal. And we were gonna analyze it at one point, but the calls haven't allowed for that. So just going forward, if we can probably utilize some of this space to just kind of run through some analyzations, that would help me out tremendously.
Hang on a second. I'm actually just sending an email real quick to my real estate partner, attorney, broker, who was telling me about something. Yeah, it would be a good idea. The only advice I could add to you, because I don't really have knowledge in the space that Devon just said, other than I understand metrics because I have a graduate degree, and you can't get a graduate degree without being hammered with metrics, but which I appreciate. But I have nightmare visions of SPSS data calculations in my head and hoping that algorithms solve that problem for me. But that's an inside joke for Devon. But the one thing I want to tell you is the most important thing that I've realized is in any space, in any profession, in anything that you do, fundamental understanding of what you're dealing with brings comfort. So there's an arc that happens. At the beginning, you're interested in doing this. You have ideas what you want to do. That's followed by learning. And the more you learn, the more overwhelming it starts to feel. And the only thing that cures that overwhelming feeling is to learn some basic principle knowledge about the industry or the business. And one example would be, if you know that anything that is ever built requires a platform, land, a space, okay, a foundation, walls, a roof. You've just described a building. If you understand fundamentally what things are, then you can apply those fundamentals, whether it's one building or a multiplex or a skyscraper. So the other thing is learning numbers. So they can seem overwhelming, but you're going to deal with basically an acquisition cost, a holding cost, and then reaping the benefits of a sale cost. So to you, the acquisition would include acquiring the building and funding it to the point that you want it to be for its purpose, whether it's a flip or a buy and hold to rent out. So the acquisition cost, basically what I'm saying in plain terms, you need to understand where you're getting the money. You know, traditional loan. Are you getting personal loans? Are you getting traditional financing or conforming loans? Are you getting private money? Are you getting hard money? Are you getting FHA through conforming loans? Basically, it's either conforming loans, private money, or hard money. Those are the three basic categories. The next step is the deal. And that is understanding what you're buying, where it is comprehensive value, meaning, are you buying something? And in today's world, it's very hard because comprehensive values are through the roof. Nobody knows what values are. I go to a house, it's priced 10,000 over asking, over the comps in the area. What's a comp? It means what has a similar property that's similar to that sold for in a nearby location. And in today's world, they can list a property for X amount of dollars that's overpriced and it will go over the overprice. So it's very difficult. I'd like to see the software that Devon's talking about. It's very difficult. But basically, if you want to arm yourself, if you want to make yourself better, learn as much as you can about the space you want to be in. If you want traditional funding through FHA, just learn about the FHA funding. Either talk to mortgage brokers or go online to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac and the FHA website and learn about it. The other thing is just learn about numbers. Put down on a piece of paper the PITIH, which is principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and homeowners association dues that you would have for a property. It's a multifamily detached, you're probably not going to have the HOA or the association dues. But the point is, learn the PITIs of a property. Because if you know, and that is, how much does that cost to maintain that property? You're looking at renting a multifamily, you need to know that I have one rental, and that rental costs me under $500 a month to keep, and it rents for $1,800 a month. So I'm looking at a $1,300 net gain, but net per month. And with depreciation, that's almost a $1,300 clear until I have to repay the taxes. But what does that mean? I also have to factor in vacancy. So I have to learn, what's a vacancy rate? How do I factor a vacancy rate? What are holding costs? How do I factor holding costs? What is a market rent? I need to understand, what is a market rent versus a holding cost to me? Because the market may say these apartments should cost $1,200 a month, but your holding might be $1,000 a month, meaning you only have $200 to cover vacancy and to cover long-term maintenance, meaning it might be a bad deal. Learn those things, because when you learn them and you understand them, when you see a deal, you'll know right away, this is a good deal. The computer or the algorithm might tell you that the sale price is a good sale price, but a sale price that's $5,000 low for a property with a market rate that's $3,000 low doesn't make sense. So what's my simple answer to you? Learn numbers. Learn the space you want to be in. It's like cars, okay? Semi-trucks, pickup trucks, SUVs, sports cars, motorcycles. You don't have to learn it all. Just learn the space you like. Learn more about the space you want to be in.
You're here. Oh yeah. And I like numbers, right? I love ANOVA calculations. I love correlations. I love what SPSS can do for me. You kidding me? Yeah, I know that's an inside joke for those who did some research in their lives and had to.
I love what it can do, Devon. I don't like programming it and entering the data and then correlating and double checking the data.
That's the best part. What? You kidding me? It's all on YouTube.
For those of you who don't know, by the way, SPSS is a software used by most educational universities and colleges where you correlate and compare data to prove your point, whether or disprove your point, basically to test a hypothesis. You enter in factual data based on a study, and it gives you percentages, which is a percentage of likelihood that something is true or false based on your hypothesis. And it can be intensive, and it's empirical studies. It's a lot of math, and it's a lot of time in front of a computer.
Yeah. Just to say that your hypothesis was either true or false. Wow. Gotcha. But nonetheless, that's the world we live in. Anybody else? The floor is now open. Whitney Johnson, you showed up late. How you doing tonight, man? Whitney, I can't hear you. Unmute yourself. All right, I see your picture. No voice.
Whitney, you're muted.
Yeah.
You hear me?
I can hear you now.
I'm just listening to try to find out all the information on it to see how best I can get into it, because I don't know much about it. So I'm glad for the opportunity just to witness and listen to everything, so I could catch up on everything and try and know everything about it, because I'm not familiarized with this. And I was glad for the one to give me the opportunity to be a part of it. So the main thing is trying to know everything. That's why I just listening to everybody to see how best I could get involved with it and know everything about it before I go forward. So my main thing is just listening. I like to listen, and try and learn everything I could. and then I could go forward with it. Like I say, I was keeping contact with the one and try to get information on it, but I like the information I had so far. But so my main thing is listening and trying to get much information about it and try and do some research and go like you say. The main thing is trying to know numbers. I like numbers too. But yeah, just learning everything as possible as I can, and then I go forward with it. But I really interesting, but I just want to learn more about it.
Mhm.
That's my main thing. Oh, sorry. Good night, everybody. But I'm interesting, but that's why I need to know everything about it and learning everything and um just going forward with it. And my main thing is keeping contact with the one and the one keeping contact with me so I can know everything about it. And like I say, I'm interesting on whatever plans you have moving forward.
Mhm. Well, just for those of you who don't know, but Whitney is a fellow Bahamian from the Bahamas. And boy, he sure could cook a mean boiled fish, right?
I can cook anything and I can bake anything. So what you never ate before, like guava duff, and I could do any type of food. I could do pearl fish, stew fish, steamed conch. I could do anything that is not American.
Yeah.
If you have a function that you want Caribbean, you can call me. My number is 321-306-7379.
Uh-huh.
I do private functions, and I'll if you want to try out the guava duff, can't find guava duff in the USA. It's a lot of things you can't find, but I could do anything. I do a lot of functions for a lady in Daytona. She a catering business. She deals with weddings and stuff, so she called me down to do weddings sometimes. So like I say, I out there, but like I say, the one keep me contact with everything.
Man, I sure will, man, Whitney.
And that number again.
Oh, Whitney.
321-306-7379. You can reach me anytime on that number. I'm right in Palm Bay. And just call me in time and let me know. And I'll be arrange it.
Hey, Devon, I think we all need to have a group trip over to Bahamas, eh?
How I know someone was going to suggest that, right?
I have a question about the Bahamas, if somebody can answer it for me.
Go ahead.
Because up until COVID, my girlfriend and I, it was a regular vacation spot for us.
Uh-huh.
There are some people that were on a few weeks ago that were interested in, looking at the Caribbean for island properties for either buy, hold, flip, whatever. What's the opportunity for someone starting out, say in the Bahamas? And there's so many islands there with the chain of islands, not just necessarily Nassau, but what is an opportunity or a place for a small time flipper or a small time buy and hold person to look in the Bahamas?
I would tell you, don't look in the Bahamas, right?
Okay.
The economy of the Bahamas is what we call a cash economy. Unless you're there long term, it's going to be very difficult for you to buy and flip, and it's very difficult for foreigners. Oh, sorry about that, Liam. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for foreigners to meet the requirements in order to own property in the Bahamas.
Are there any Caribbean islands you'd recommend, or sticking to maybe US Virgin Islands? Or
Yeah, anything in the US territory, for US territories, you're better off. But okay, I don't want to say that there isn't any opportunity in the Bahamas, because there is, right? You just have to partner up with the right partner, right? So there's a concept known as foreign direct investment. If you are that component, you can actually get involved in bigger deals, right? Not the single families, not the insurance homes, most of the foreigners who invest in the Bahamas invest in the syndication development projects. That includes a hotel with private cabanas on private islands and stuff like that. So those would be the deals that are a lot more lucrative. And John, we can talk about what that looks like, because I am instrumental in raising capitals for 2 projects, one on San Salvador and one on Long Island, to the tune of combined, they're looking at about $1.5 billion. But
You know, I might want to talk to you about an acquisition in Asia.
Mhm,
It's not a huge acquisition. I think it's a 10-room hotel.
mhm,
But I'm very interested. It's off market.
mhm.
I only know about it through my personal research. And I don't know about funding the capital to do it. So here's my question to the group. So someone like me who has a very good credit and track record, who wants to go off book or off page for something like that, I would need to fund the capital for it. And I not only have the ability to have the property be lienable, but I also have a personal guarantee for my very good credit and track record. Where would I go for funding for something like that?
Yeah, they're
Bless you.
yeah, they're very specific brokers in that space. Now, access to their capital is somewhat a little difficult, because you actually have to come in with at least 25% of the money. And most of those deals require a minimum of 10 million investment that gives you.
Bless you.
Yeah.
I could meet the 25%. I could meet that. If this is way under 10 million,
Yeah, if it's under 10 million, what they look for is projects that are greater than 40 million outside of the United States, a lot of them. So if the deal is that big, then what you do is put a team together in order to do the acquisition. So yeah, you don't do a deal like that by yourself, and you don't take on the risk.
no, it's much smaller than that. We're a few 100,000, like under 500.
Even a deal like that, you don't do by yourself, right?
Right.
You spread that risk out, even if you have all the money.
You know, one thing I want to talk about, Devon, that you run into is, and Whitney, this is good for you to hear on too. Say you start out slow and you're investing in single family, whether it be condos, whether it be single family detached homes. By the way, SFDs or SDFs, however people want to do it, Whitney means a single family detached home or single detached family home. And that is basically a house. It's not a townhome. It's not a condo. It doesn't have common walls. It's basically a freestanding house. Okay. Townhomes and houses financed differently than condominiums, timeshares, and other things. But you know what I'm looking at is, you move along and you acquire property, and what happens is, after you acquire property, the bank, every time you try to get finance, requires reserves on what you already have. Meaning, whatever your mortgage, taxes, and insurance are for that property, it's 6 months worth of that in the bank, plus your down payment, plus your closing costs, plus 2 months of where you live for your next project. So you can very quickly find yourself looking to borrow 100 or 200 grand and needing 100 grand in the bank. It becomes ridiculous at one point. When we went for our 3rd or 4th property, we wanted to borrow a very small amount because we were putting down a big down payment, and our reserves were more money than the mortgage was. And I looked at the bank and I said, you want me to have more money in the bank than I'm actually borrowing? So it becomes ridiculous. And that's something you should learn about reserves. Whitney, I challenge you to look up PITI and reserves as 2 homework items for yourself, and learn those, because those will only make you stronger as you go towards what you want to achieve.
Okay, sir.
And Catherine and Dwight and anyone else who's looking to do it, start to understand some terms like that. But I'd be interested to see the software that Tavon's talking about. I'm in a little different neighborhood for what I'm trying to achieve. We all have our own personal goals. But I can tell you the only input I could give all of you is if you learn one or two things a day or a week as you go along, those get added to you, and you tend to remember the fundamentals, even if you don't remember the details. PITI, reserves, conforming loan, private money, hard money. Learning what those all mean will only help you build as you go forward.
All right, all good things, man. Well, I can't wait to show you guys on the unboxing of the package once we get it. We're looking forward to receiving our Amazon box this week. But we're at top of the hour. We had stated that we would try not to go longer than an hour for most, because we know some have to hop on other meetup groups and other calls. And I wanted to be mindful of everybody's time. So we will end here. Yeah, we will. Say it again. End here.
All right. All right. Good night. Good night,
Thank you, John.
good
All
night,
right.
everybody.
Yeah, all right. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thank you much.
All right.
Yeah, man, thank you. Bye.
All right.